Hi, this is Mato. Welcome to my online chess lecture. In this video I will show you a game between Magnus Carlsen and Ian Nepomniachtchi. This is a game from the round 6 of the World Chess Championship match 2021. Carlsen had white pieces and he started with d4. Nepo played knight to f6, knight to f3, d5, g3, e6, bishop to g2, bishop to e7, and both players castled kingside. White move c4 is the most played move. Then we would have the Catalan opening. Instead, Carlsen played b3, going for the double of fianchetto. Maybe. c5, d takes on c5, bishop takes on c5, c4, d takes on c4, queen to c2, queen to e7. If c takes on b3, queen takes on c5. So we have a queen to e7 defending the bishop. Knight from b to d2, knight to c6, knight takes on c4, knight to b5, knight from c to e5, knight to b4 attacking the queen, queen to b2 taking the spot reserved for the bishop, bishop to b7, a3, knight to c6, knight to d3, not trading pieces, bishop to b6, bishop to g5 pinning the knight. Interestingly, the bishop never went to b2. Rook from f to d8, and now unprovoked, bishop takes on f6, g takes on f6. If queen takes on f6, queen takes queen, pawn takes queen, and there is a high chance of game ending in a draw. Looks like Nepo was in a fighting mode and he captured with the pawn. Rook from a to c1, knight to d4, knight takes on d4, bishop takes on d4, queen to a2, bishop takes on g2, king takes bishop, queen to b7 check, king to g1, queen to e4. After 22 moves have been played, it is about equal. Queen to c2, a5, rook from f to d1, king to g7, rook to d2, rook from a to c8. White move, and Carlsen had to choose between queen to d1 and queen takes rook on c8. He played queen takes rook, trading the queen for two rooks. Rook takes queen, rook takes rook, queen to d5. Two rooks are stronger than the queen, but they have to coordinate well. b4, a4, e3, bishop to e5, h4, black to move, h5. And the pawn would later become a target of the attack for the white pieces. Bishop to b2 was another way to go. Back to our game, we have h5, king to h2, bishop to b2, rook to c5, attacking the queen and extracting the pawn on h5, queen to d6. Under the time pressure, Carlsen didn't play the best move. He played rook to d1. The other way to go was rook from c to c2, and rook takes bishop on b2. Back to our game. Rook to d1 was played. Bishop takes on a3. Rook takes on b5. Queen to d7. Rook to c5. e5. Rook to c2. Queen to d5. Perhaps e4 should have been considered. And after knight to b2, queen to e6, and black is okay. Back to our game. We have queen to d5. Rook from d to d2, queen to b3, rook to a2, e4. Now knight to c5, queen takes on b4, knight takes on e4, queen to b3. If queen takes knight, what happens then? Then the rook takes on a3, and white wins. Back to our game. Queen to b3, rook from a to c2, bishop to f8, knight to c5, queen to b5, knight to d3, a3, knight to f4, queen to a5, rook to a2, bishop to b4, rook to d3, king to h6, rook to d1, queen to a4, rook from d to a1, bishop to d6, king to g1, queen to b3, knight to e2, queen to d3, knight to d4, king to h7, king to h2, queen to e4, rook takes pawn on a3, black to move, queen takes pawn on h4 check. The other way to go was bishop takes on a3, then rook takes on a3, and white would have more fun playing from this position. Back to our game. Queen takes on h4 check, king to g1, queen to e4, rook to a4, bishop to e5, knight to e2, queen to c2. If bishop takes on a1, then rook takes queen. Back to our game. Queen to c2, rook from 1 to a2, queen to b3, king to g2, queen to d5, check. There was a period of long maneuvering, and we'll jump to move 113. This is the position. In this position, Nepo played h4, intending to expose the king. G takes on h4, queen to h3 check, king to d2, queen takes on h4. And this is now very instructive how Carlsen improves his position and Nepo can't do much about it. The game continued. Rook to d3, king to f8, rook to f3, queen to d8 check, king to e3, queen to a5, king to f2, queen to a7 check, rook to e3, queen to d7, knight to g3, queen to d2 check, king to f3, queen to d1 check, rook to e2, queen to b3 check, king to g2, queen to b7, rook to d2, queen to b3, rook to d5, king to e7, rook to e5 check, king to f7, rook to f5 check, king to e8, e5, queen to a2 check, king to h3, queen to e6, king to h4, queen to h6 check, knight to h5, queen to h7, e6, queen to g6. If queen takes on f5, then knight to g7 check is slightly unpleasant. Queen to g6 was played, rook to f7, another little trick. King to d8 was played if queen takes on e6, then knight to g7 check, and after king takes on f7, knight takes on e6, king takes knight, and then white wins the opposition and the game. Back to our game. King to d8 was played, f5, queen to g1. White played the move and black resigned, and the move is knight to g7 at move 136. Nepo resigned. For the entertainment purpose I will show you just one line. Queen to h2 check, king to g5, queen to g3 check, king to h6, queen to h4 check, king to g6, queen to g4 check, king to h7, queen to h4 check, and black has no more checks. After queen to g5, white gives check, queen takes pawn, rook takes queen, king takes rook, knight to e8, king takes knight, f6, king to d7, f7, and I guess we can stop here. That was a very long and hard battle, wasn't it? What do you think of this game? And that is all. I hope that you enjoyed watching this video. I wish you good luck with your chess, and bye for now.